So if you're like me, one of the reasons you started reading historical romance because you like learning about history and you want to do it in kind of a fun way. So I thought today I would talk a little bit about the history in my new book, A Shop Girl's Guide to Wooing a Lord. The book is set in 1815, which is Regency era England, and one of the elements in the book is chimney sweeps. And in the novel, the main characters, little brother and sister, who are 6 and 8, have been involuntarily apprenticed to a chimney sweep. And one of her goals is to get them out of that. And the reason that children were popular to be used for cleaning chimneys was because they were small and they could fit in those tight places, get into the chimneys, really get up there and scrape off the soot and ash, which could be very dangerous because if that were to build up, it would cause fires. Of course, that was very dangerous in an era when we didn't really have fire departments as we do now. So the problem is, of course, this was very dangerous work and unhealthy, toxic work, because climbing up in a chimney and getting covered with soot and ash and all the things that are left over when you've been cooking in something and burning coal in something for months and months is not very healthy. And so the kids would be covered in dirt and grime and dust. The chemicals in the coal or the ash and soot would burn their eyes and their skin, and they would not really be provided with hygienic places to live. They didn't have modern plumbing as we do, so there's not like they could wash it off all the time. So they were basically just living in filth and squalor. Another thing that was dangerous about going in the chimneys was, of course, these were very small places and the kids could get stuck and they might not be able to get out of the chimney. There were any number of ways that they could then be extricated from the chimney, being lowered a rope to be pulled out. But one of the more awful ways was that the chimney sweep or one of the older kids would light a fire under, so they would be very incentivized to climb out of there, even if it was painful or they were to break a leg or an arm or something like that. So suffice it to say, being a chimney sweep was a pretty horrible job, and I don't think most kids would choose that. But if they were in more or less an indentured servitude position, they didn't really have much choice. So that is one element in the book and why my heroine is so desperate to get her little brother and sister out of this position. And it's a little bit dark, but that's kind of history for you sometimes. So if you're interested in learning more about that, there's lots of books on chimney sweeps and the history of it. And if you maybe just want to touch on it a little bit, you could try out my book.